All right, cool. Um, okay. And so go. All right. Let me type that. So if you go to the 1-800 Pray For Me page, you will see that I posted a note. It's inside the series that we've been doing. It's called Unshakable Surrender. And today we're talking about leadership. So this is the test of leadership. And so we're going to be breaking down pretty much the story of Joseph inside the Bible. For all who are not aware, Joseph was a kid. He was probably like, like 16 at this time. He had a whole bunch of brothers, like 11 brothers, I want to say. And he pretty much was, his father's favorite. Like his dad looked at him, was in awe. God gave him a gift of being able to see dreams and translate dreams. And so he was just very gifted. Like he was really like ordained. And his brothers, they were fairly they were fairly jealous. They was fairly upset of his favoritism that God had on him, and also his father, his earthly father. And so we're going to break down like the test of leadership through the eyes of Joseph, if that's cool with everybody. So yeah. And so these notes, I want y'all to be able to take the notes. If you have a notepad and you want to take some notes as well, I will encourage that as well. So yes. Let's see here. All right, cool. So again, I gave y'all the background for Joseph. The story of Joseph is in Genesis. We're not going to go through it because it's mad chapters of Joseph's life. Like it's probably like 12 chapters of Joseph's life. So we might paraphrase here and there. We might not even touch that, but I just want to give y'all, again, a lot of practicality when it comes to these notes. So y'all just be able to apply it inside y'all day-to-day life. And I ask y'all questions in between it so y'all can tell me like, how does it resonate with y'all? If y'all are affected by it, if it applies, etc., etc. So yes, so if we go to the first one, number one is the test of surrender. And so when we think about, being a Christian, one of the main things that we are called to do is pretty much surrender ourselves. We're called to surrender our pride. We're called to surrender the person that we were before we got saved. It's a sense of surrendering. It's a sense of saying like, I am this person and I need Jesus to come in my life and save me from the person that I used to be. And so let me see, at the end of the day, God knows who we are. Like he knows who we are under everything, under all the layers. He knows our purest form. And so what people kind of fail to realize when it comes to Christianity, because of the fact that we have leaders who kind of like push a super religious, like, rhetoric on people, what people fail to realize is God knows exactly who you are. He knows your flaws and all. But what he wants you to do inside your Christian walk and your walk of faith is to be able to say, hey, like, he wants you to look into the mirror and say, like, hey, I see myself, I see my Christian self under all of my like worldliness. Uh, Kelsey Jones. Oh my God, Kelsey is inside the building. What's happening, Kels? What's good? We just started.
Hey.
Hello. So yeah, I'm recording it. So if you have a problem with that, let me know, or you can go like take your video off. I posted the notes as well on the 1-800 Pray For Me page. So we're gonna go straight off of the 1-800 Pray For Me page. Boom, boom, boom. So we just started. So again, the first note is the test of surrendering. So it's, can you surrender your pride? So a lot of times we are inside these seasons of our lives where we're like, we know ourselves. The world tells you, hey man, be self-made, be your own person, be an individual, do what you want to do. And we have a lot of pride, we have a lot of ego. So the first thing is, are you willing to surrender your pride and your ego in order to walk with Christ? You know, in order to be a great leader, in order to be somebody that God can depend on, he has to also know that you're able to follow. You know, great leaders are great followers at the end of the day. And so are you willing to say, hey, it's not up to me, it's up to God through this entire process, and walk with him? So that's number one. So again, when we're talking about the story of Joseph inside the Bible, Joseph, he was somebody that was very diligent. Like when you think about characters in the Bible, you got like Jesus, and then you got like Joseph. Like Joseph was a very like honorable person. He didn't really sin like publicly inside the Bible. We don't really see him like just like sinning or like falling short. But he also was somebody that just obeyed. You know, he was that good kid that parents always asked for. And that's probably why he was his daddy's favorite, because he just, if his dad say, hey, like, I need you to do blah, 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 he was like, all right, cool, no pressure, no talk back. And so with that, God knew that he could trust Joseph with a lot. He knew he could trust him with his dreams, because he knew at the end of the day, he was gonna honor God through the process of it. So the first step again in leadership is, are you willing to surrender your pride? Like we said, Joseph, he had the power of interpreting dreams. So he was blessed with it. But you know, somebody that could have that power or have that type of anointing on God could get real prideful and be like, oh man, I can do blah 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 blah. I can sing. Oh, I can act. Oh, I can, you know what I'm saying, draw. And it can make us prideful with the powers that God kind of invests in us. Does that make sense? Everybody good? Everybody follow me? All right, cool, cool, cool. So he surrendered to God, and it defined him. The Lord was with Joseph because Joe was with God. He seeked God through this entire time. He had a conversations with God on a regular basis. He built that relationship on his own. He wasn't forced to do it. And it wasn't like his dad was saying, hey, you need to talk to God. You know, he chose to do that on his own. All right, so everybody good? Can we follow suit? We can go forward. Anybody still writing or anything? All right, cool. We're gonna go to two. In between every like 2 points, I'm gonna ask like questions so we'll be able to dialogue afterwards. Okay. For everybody that's new again, if you have something to say, feel free to interject at any time, because I'm gonna keep on going. All you have to do is just go unmute, and I'll be able to see you go unmute, and I'll go ahead and acknowledge you. So anytime you have anything that's relevant, not relevant, it doesn't matter. Just go on mute. I'll see you. All right, number two is the test of solitude. So I think this is one of the hardest things for people to do. I think that this is something that a lot of us struggled with when we were first starting the year and COVID hit, because we was forced to be by ourselves. We was forced to be inside these rooms where we had to endure ourselves. We had to look ourselves inside the mirror and say, hey, you know, you are this person. I'm not distracted by the people that are around me because I can't link with people the way I'm supposed to. I mean, people in Atlanta still link with each other, but we weren't supposed to link, you know, we were supposed to be solo. And so on a solo tip, are you comfortable with yourself? You know, are you comfortable with being by yourself, being able to say, hey, I don't need this person in order to make me happy. I don't need this person in order to fulfill me. All I need is God and his company, and that's enough for me at the end of the day. And that's tough. You know, it's tough for a lot of people, especially given the fact that we're so accustomed to seeing people. We're so accustomed to talking and expressing and being around people, even just the comfortness of knowing somebody else is there. Because a lot of times we have broken pieces inside of us that we use other people to fill that void with. And so it's easy for us to kind of get lost in other people because of the fact that we aren't comfortable with ourselves. And so, when it came to Joseph, again, we're going to follow this Bible study of Joseph. Joseph, brothers were very jealous of him. And so they were plotting on killing him. They was like, man, I can't take this man Joseph anymore. Man, we need to get done with him. We already got 11 brothers. We can do without one. So we was like, let's go ahead and kill him. his father gave him this really colorful jacket, and they were just hating on him. It was like a Versace jacket, and it just had all type of colors and whatnot. And so they was like, dang, bro, like we got to get rid of this man Joseph, because daddy over here buying him Versace. He ain't buy us Versace, man. Let's done this guy. So so one of his brothers, Reuben, was like, nah, we don't have to kill him. Why don't we just sell him to slavery? We don't have to worry about him no more. We'll just get rid of him. And then we'll tell dad that he died, and we don't have to worry about Joseph anymore. We ain't kill him. And, we don't have to see him no more. It's a win-win. So they kidnapped Joseph. They sold him to slavery. They took his Versace, and then they put animal blood on it and told their dad that he died. So pretty much, Joseph was put in a pit, and he was pretty much in solitude. So a lot of times after we accept God into our lives, after we say, Jesus, you are our Lord and Savior, immediately after that, it gets super hard. Now, why is that it gets super hard, and why is it that we're put inside these quote unquote pits? Is because God is trying to condition us and see if our hearts are in the right place. Because a lot of times we say, oh yeah, I want to be a Christian, or I want to follow Christ, or not, blah, blah. But then when the going gets tough, a lot of us kind of backslide, and we go back to our old ways and say like, hey man, like, it was too hard. It's too much structure. It's not enough, freedom for me to surrender with. So are you able to be in a pit? Are you able to be inside solitude and be comfortable with yourself and still acknowledge God when you're inside these pitfalls? A lot of y'all are going through finals. A lot of y'all are like struggling with finals. I empathize with y'all greatly. I can only imagine how it is going through finals in a global pandemic. But what's the end goal? What are y'all working towards? Why are y'all stressing so hard? And that's what God is kind of trying to do, the exact same thing with Joseph and all of us in our Christian walk, is just remind us that, the end goal is greater than what we're going through as far as the pits that we're dealing with. And so before we go any further, do anybody have any questions? Anybody got any statements? Is this connecting with anybody? Let me know. Feel free. Yes, no, maybe so. Destiny, what's up?
I definitely want to say, I see what you were saying about this relating to Jonah, with God testing us. What was I gonna say? Yeah, because God tested him. I think in everything we do, God tests us, especially when we're asking for stuff. Especially when you want to move up to a new career, a new field, something that you want in your life. Like God definitely tests you, and he tries to see, are you even grateful for what you have right now? I can't give you something if you're not even grateful for what you have right now, because you can't even handle it then. And then also, this lady I was watching on YouTube, she said she has a saying, because I think it goes hand in hand. When God does bless us with stuff, the devil tells on himself. When things start going bad, it's a sign that you're doing good. The more you trying to reach toward God, the more the devil will try. Well, the enemy. I know some people don't like even saying his name. I understand. The enemy will try to come for you and attack you in any way he can when you get the biggest blessings in your life. But I definitely agree. Like, God will test you. Are you faithful? Can you handle what I'm going to give you? Or are you going to boast about what I've given you?
Exactly. And Key, I was seeing you in the corner, man. I know you felt that too, because I was like, whoo, like.
Child, you was saying something. You was all in my business. Thank you for that, Destiny, because that's very, very true. I think in this day and age, just to go on top of that, I think being self-aware is something that's super important. I think it's a lost art. I feel like people don't even empathize, or we lack proper perspective and everything. But you said some things. You said a whole lot. Thank you.
Yeah. No, definitely, because you spot on, because at the end of the day, like, again, God has to see whether or not he can trust you. It's just like you said the same thing with, like, when you're leveling up inside your job or not. a lot of times we level up inside our jobs and our careers. And again, it's going to play into all of these steps that I have for us. But we level up when somebody knows that you can handle it. Can you handle like not being prideful and saying, I'm the boss, I'm the one who's running the show, like, you know, woo blah, blah. And, you know, are you able to really handle that? Because a lot of times people can't handle being like, or they aren't disciplined enough to say like, hey, I'm gonna listen to somebody else's leadership, or I'm gonna listen to somebody else when it's uncomfortable for me. You know, a lot of times when we level up is when it's uncomfortable for us, and we're placed inside positions where now we are able to understand how to go forward because we was placed in uncomfortable positions that grew us and made us develop and learn inside um, our own being. But yeah, so again, so Joseph, he's kind of in jail for a little bit because he's being sold off to slavery. He wasn't there for long. He was like in there for like a couple days or whatnot. So after that, he was sold to an Egyptian. He was sold to a wealthy guy in Egypt. You know, Jen, can you fill me in if you know his name is Potiphar, if I'm not mistaken? Do you know?
I am not sure.
I believe it was Potiphar is his name. His name is Potiphar. Is Potiphar for anybody to know?
I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. I think it is.
Potiphar. We gonna just call him Potiphar if he ain't Potiphar. Hey, he was sold to Dree. What's up?
What's the verse?
I
missed that.
We was like paraphrasing a lot of verses or whatever because like we was going through like the story of Joseph, and it's like 12 chapters in Genesis. It's like from chapter 30. It's like from Genesis chapter 37 through Genesis 45. So I'm really
okay. Bet I just need to know general. Okay, cool. Thank you.
For sure. All right, so he was sold to Potiphar. You know, Potiphar was, you know, this wealthy guy. It was Potiphar. Look at me.
Chapter 37, verse 36.
Chapter 37, verse 36. Hold up, let me go to it, Pastor. Let me see. Chapter 37, Genesis.
You spot on.
Look. All right, Genesis chapter 37. And you said verse 36? All right, yeah. Meanwhile, the traders arrived in Egypt where they sold Joseph to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh. So he was an officer of Pharaoh. So he had some clout in Egypt. You know, he was kind of like one of like Pharaoh's like main folks, you know, that really was like running inside Egypt in the streets. So they sold him to Potiphar, officer of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Potiphar was captain of the palace guard. So bruh had clout, you know, so he had money, he had clout. He inside Egypt, and he was sold to, Joseph was sold to him. So the first two steps that we had inside our test of leadership is the test of surrendering, the test of solitude, and now we're about to go into the test of servanthood. So, you know, this isn't ideal at all for Joseph. God told Joseph, man, God gave Joseph a dream before he was sold. And he told his dad and everything. He gave him a dream and said, you're going to be praised by everybody. You know, literally everybody's going to bow down to you. You're going to have so much clout on earth, man. You're going to really like be running it. And so Joseph had some type of like, you know, feeling of like, wow, like empowerment because God already told him that he's going to be this great guy. But in the midst of God telling him that, in the midst of him, you know, again, being content with God and surrendering, and then being placed inside prison in solitude, now he has to serve. So it's the test of servanthood. So inside the notes that I have on 1-800-PRAY for me, it says, can you serve others consistently when you would rather serve yourself? And so that's a real question because now he's kind of like the chief servant. So he's like a butler in a sense, where now he has to, you know, do whatever Potiphar tells him to do. You know, Potiphar says, hey, cook this. He has to cook it. He says, take out the trash, walk the dogs. You know, he's having to pretty much serve like thoroughly this man that one, he didn't ask to serve. And then two, he wasn't called to serve at the end of the day. He was called to be this righteous man that God made him for. So are you willing to submit? Can you submit to someone else's dreams? You know, Potiphar had his own dreams. He had his own type of motives and his own ways of running everything. Are you willing to submit to it? And yeah, so that's going to be a question for the entire group. Is it easy for you to pretty much be in these positions, whether that be your job, whether that be inside positions where you don't have necessarily leadership and you have to follow anybody else? Is it easy for you to really submit to somebody else's will and do whatever they say? Or do you struggle with that? I'm going to take whoever wants to talk on it. Dree, what's up?
Okay, so I have like two takes on this. As a wife, like I fully submit to my husband, no cap. But at my job, it'd be something else because I feel like I have a level of respect for my husband and like just the person he is, the man of God he is. But them people at my job, I feel like I have very little respect for. So it's very hard for me to like continuously be like, okay, I got it. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Like continuously and knowing the things that they do as well. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well, that makes perfect sense. Definitely makes perfect sense. It's hard, man, especially in a job, because it's like a lot of times we be in jobs and we don't necessarily want to be there, but we have to be there in order to get paid. So it's like, we know, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want that to be our full-fledged like place. Some people are inside their careers and shout out to them. But a lot of us, you know, especially as young adults, we're inside these like transitional situations or transitional seasons where we're just trying to make it day by day in order to get over. Key, what's up? I already know.
Y'all gotta chill. Y'all really gotta chill, man. I was literally, okay. This week was horrible. Just, it is what it is. But yesterday in particular, it was just so bad. I called a mentor and I was just like, I need somebody to just help me because being in an assistant position, especially, you know, being the only Black person and having to kind of work under, it's hard working under someone when you can see that they aren't the best leader, both morally and professionally.
Yes.
So it's like, okay, you're in this weird position. Like, how do I speak up without it being like, I don't know what's
Disrespectful.
Disrespectful. There you go. Disrespectful. But also you have, well, for me personally, it's like in hindsight, I'm like, okay, you're doing this because God placed this vision in your heart and you're meant to be here. And this is going to get you ultimately to your costume designer position. But I'm like, do I really got to work under these people? Because they really don't know what they're talking about. And they're really horrible people. It's just like, I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. But like Joseph, he was working under this horrible man and then he became the overseer. So I'm like, I see, God, what you doing? But it's like, help me.
I'm gonna tell you right now that this is one of the ones that I for real struggle with, because a person like my nature off rip is of service. Like if we talk about like acts of service, or I mean like acts of service is my number one like love language or whatever. So it's like I'm just a serving person at hand. That's
right.
But a lot of times I find myself being put in positions where I'm like, okay, is this really something that you want me to endure in order to benefit me for the future? Or is it something that you're trying to tell me to run away from? And that line, that gray area is something that I always struggles with, because I've recognized inside my own life that God had to have me serve in certain positions in order to put me in other positions. Like I've literally seen that like visibly. I've even seen it inside my faith walk, you know, with us at 1-800 Pray For Me. You know, we've been rocking since March, you know, like faithfully, consistently every Thursday, you know, since March. So I feel like this is a season that God is having me serve in order to benefit me for another, like, you know, situation. And I've seen situations only through 2020 alone, that would have never, ever, ever happened on my own accord. But I know it was him saying, like, I'm honoring you for holding it down and staying down. But it is so hard, and I feel you 100%. Go ahead.
Just one thing, because this is making me think about the conversation I had. And part of my questioning was, how do I, you know how they say, you know, you're the light in the darkness and you the God in the workplace. And I'm like, all right, but these people can catch these hands because yeah. So part of that, I'm like, how do I, when I'm having difficulties with work, particularly with the boss, it's like, naturally I get reserved, and that's part of me. Like, part of that is me telling myself, this is you having self-control and not going off and like having a quiet spirit. And then it's like, well, you don't want people to think that they can just say whatever they want to say and do whatever they want to do. So I feel like also there's a thin line between knowing like, okay, how do I be the Jesus here without people taking advantage of the situation? Right.
That's good. Mo, what's up?
Coming from, well, I don't have a job anymore, but coming from a job that I hated very much, because everyone was very rude, to say the least. One thing that helped me was, before every time I went in, I had to intentionally set time to get my mind prepared and the heart in a posture where it's like, I'm not here for them. And even though I'm still here for me, like, I want to do this as if like this was onto the Lord. So even with the people that I had to deal with, it's like, I also had to like remind myself, as corny as it sounds, like I wasn't like them being rude or them being snappy or them just being mean wasn't because of me. It was because of them and where their heart is and what they're doing. It has nothing to do with me. So there's no reason for me to take it personal like that. Even though whatever they're saying may come at me, it's not to me. It's whatever they got going on in their lives and their day. I'm not about to also let like a moment in my day snatch whatever good had come before it or what good can come after it, because it's just a moment in time.
That's good. That's good. I'm gonna get Jim real quick before we all say our pieces on it. But Jim, what's up?
I like the things that y'all are saying. I'm feeling it. In my workplace, I'm kind of on both ends. Like, I'm the leader for my science team, but I'm just a member on the social studies team. So it's really conflicting. And like, as a leader, I get so annoyed because I'm like, this every week it's the same thing. So I'm like, what am I doing? And then as a member, I get annoyed because I'm just like, it's the same thing. Like, the leadership, like, this is who y'all pick, this is who I have to listen to. So I'm kind of like you, Jay, where I feel like acts of service is one of my love languages. Like, it's a part. So I feel the need to help, but I get so annoyed. But like, as a Christian, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to serve others. But it's very annoying sometimes because other people, like, because of their spirit, that it's like, yeah, like, I like that, you know, I'm not the only one that we're talking about this, because it's like a reminder, you still got to go in there and do your job. And they do need help. Like, at the end of the day, they don't know, like, it's, you know, I'm a teacher. So it's teachers who don't know how to use this technology. And that's why they're not incorporating it in the plans or talking about it, because they don't know it. And it's like, but you're supposed to practice it, but okay, I'll show you for the third time again. I got you.
No, definitely. And like you said, it's what we're called to do. We're all called to serve in some type of capacity. You know what I'm saying? Worship is not just singing. You know, worshiping is being able to uplift and uphold God's kingdom by one of the pillars being serving and servitude. And so it's like, the way that I look at life is, I can't serve somebody with a closed fist. You feel me? And a lot of times we have closed fists when we go into situations where it's frustrating us, we're angry, you know, we want to have vengeance on people, you know, whoop, whoop, blah, blah. But what if, you know, God is calling you, Key, to say, hey, I know this is annoying. I know you don't want to go through this. I know these white people are pissing you off. That at the end of the day, I'm telling you that I'm building you up to one, have the meekness, to have that strength under control, like we talked over the summer, and then also be able to say, hey, because I don't believe that God is telling you not to assert yourself, not to, like stand up for yourself if need be. But I think that he's placing you and placing us in predicaments and positions like this so we're able to minister in some type of breath to people who aren't there, because if we're aware of it and we're placed in these situations, it's not going to be easy. And I don't think that people are always just going to get in and say like, oh, you know what? I'm tripping, Key is right. I shouldn't be, living this way. But that sense of that seed that you can plant in that position wouldn't happen if we just gave up on the situation, was like, you know what, F this, I don't have to deal with this, I don't have to tolerate this, and go away from it. And so I think that it's just about us figuring out what that being a servant means in those capacities, and how we can still minister kindness, how we can still minister patience, how we can still minister to these people so we don't necessarily have to just feel like we just taking it, and nothing else is coming out of it, if that makes sense. But it's hard. Somebody went on mute. I just saw a mic by chance. No? Okay. Oja, what's happening?
I think also something that really helped me when it comes to servitude a lot of times is because when stuff was hitting the fan at work, and I mean hitting the fan legally and all that, one thing that really helped me was me also checking my ego, because I can be very prideful and be like, well, I need to show them that I'm not the one, or maybe that I am the right one. But I was like, at the end of the day, they gonna hear me, but then I'm gonna have to hear God, once I leave this place. And it's what really separated me from them in this position, because I would hate for my own faith to be thrown in my face because I didn't walk in it. So it's one thing for me, I can be very prideful, is remembering to check my ego before I know I could potentially be in a position that could take me out of character.
Amen. And you're 100% right. Key, what's up?
Just one, and this is just like a side note, but I wonder, when all of this stuff was happening to Joseph, did he ever have moments where he's like, okay, I see you, God, okay, the cult thing, the brothers, I see it.
Right.
Because you have those little small kind of inklings of, okay, maybe this is really God's leading, but it's kind of hard to know if it's actually God or if this is, like you said, something that.
Yeah, because like you're saying, I have those moments sometimes. I'd be like, God, I see what you're trying to get me to understand, or I see that, you're really trying to test me to see if I'm really about to flip out and stuff like that. And I think he kind of gives me at least some type of reassurance when he's like, oh, okay, you didn't do that. Boom, I got you, I'm gonna look after you and stuff. And so, it's just something that we all have to work with and we all have to work on. And so, but again, just an analogy that I saw in another service that I watched, but it's God can't trust you with weight, physical weight, if you're not willing to wait, you know what I'm saying? As a waiter, or whatever the case may be. And as far as time, double entendre, triple entendre, really. But God can't he can't trust you with weight if you're not willing to wait. And so how long are you willing to be a servant to somebody else? How long are you willing to really sit in the background and let somebody else shine, knowing that you're supposed to be the one that's shining and they're taking all that light? Are you going to be the one that's hating on the sideline, or are you going to boost them up just as much so you know that your time is coming? And so Joseph worked his way up to being the chief servant because he was willing to be diligent in how he waited and how he served and how he gave back to Potiphar. So the next one that we're talking about, so off rip summary for everybody that came in kind of later, we talked about the test of leadership that's on the Instagram. The notes are on the Instagram. Number one was the test of surrendering. Are you willing to surrender your pride, your ego in order to survive? The test of solitude. Are you willing to be by yourself even when it's uncomfortable to you? The test of servanthood. Are you willing to serve others even when it doesn't, validate you? And so number 4 is the test of seduction. And so this one is a one that a lot of us deal with too. And when we think about seduction, a lot of us just think about like sex, but it's more than just sex. Like, it's what are you lusting over? Are you lusting over money? Are you lusting over power? Are you lusting over food? Are you lusting over, what I'm saying? All of these things that our flesh craves, the attention. Are you lusting over all of these components, and are you willing to die it off in order to prioritize God inside that sense? So the question I put is, can you be disciplined enough to deny your flesh? When you want to have that instant validation or you want to have that gratification, are you willing to say, hey, it's all good. I don't need that in this time, because I know what the times are calling for me to have and the times that God is calling me to have. And so the devil knows what seduces you. The devil knows to a T what are the things that seduce and entice you. He knows how to get you. He knows those little points where I'm like, oh, you've been reading your Bible for 7 days straight. I know I can put this in front of you and it's going to distract you. And it's going to be the thing that makes you throw off your entire walk with Christ, because this is what you love and this is what you crave and desire. And so, are you willing to recognize that, have the perspective, and be able to say, hey, this is what God has in front of me that's like, holding me back? I mean, this is what the devil has in front of me that's holding me back and holding me captive as far as being a slave to this situation and dying it off. As we're following Joseph inside this little story that we're given, Joseph now is the chief servant. So, he got a little bit of clout under his belt for being down with Potiphar. And so Potiphar's wife, she's a cougar or whatever. So, she's kind of older than Joseph. Joseph is like 17. He's kind of ripe. Bruh got a little solid little 6-pack going on. You feel me? He got a beard coming in and all of that. So everybody's like, oh man, Joseph's kind of a handsome looking guy. And so the cougar recognizes this and she wants to sleep with Joseph. So this would have been easy. She could have, Potiphar's out of town. Potiphar's nowhere to be found. He's out running the streets with Pharaoh. So he really could have hit and nobody would have known, you know what I'm saying? Because it would have been between her. She's like, man, I'm gonna keep this between you and me. We ain't got to worry about all of that, politicking. I can be your MILF. I can be your sugar mama while Potiphar is not here, and we can have a good time. But Joseph, being the righteous fellow that he is, he was like, nah, I ain't trying to sleep around. God said that I shouldn't do this, so I'm not going to do this. So the cougar gets upset, and when Potiphar gets back in town, she's like, Joseph raped me. So Joseph is looking like, I'm telling you, like the Bible is like VH1. Joseph is like, bruh, like, I ain't rape you. Like, what are you talking about? So, of course, Potiphar loves his cougar. So he's like, what, you rape my girl or whatever? Jail. I'm not going to kill you. I'm throw you in jail. You know what I'm saying? So he put him in jail, electric chair. So Joseph's like, bruh, like, you ain't even hearing me. I ain't do nothing. She tried to come on to him. He's running away from her. She like rips a piece of his like fabric off of, because she was just fiending for bruh. So she rips a piece of his shirt off and she's like, look, this is the shirt that he had when I was trying to struggle and get away from him. Boom, it's right here. Here's the evidence. So Potiphar ain't having it. He throws Joseph into another pit. So this is the second pit that Joseph is put in. Again, Joseph just be trying to mind his business. He be trying to serve and listen to what God has to say for him. But all of this is coming to him. So now he's like, well, dang, bro, like, I can't do anything without something else coming on to me. So now we're going into, like, how do y'all feel about that? Like, are there things that are, like, actively being placed in front of you that are, like, seducing you or, like, enticing you, that are holding you back in your own spirituality or your own faith walk? And speak
Social media.
Say that again, Jen.
Social media.
Social media is definitely one. I'm telling you, bro, look, I'm gonna start recording these Bible stories. I'm gonna just bring them to the cab, and I'm gonna just give them, hood names, because it really VH1 for real.
Really, you really should though, because I don't think people realize how juicy the Bible is and how quick they are to drag one another. If you go to Deuteronomy, people are really interested in sex. Deuteronomy is filthy. So people would really be interested in hearing the tea. And then at the end, you're like, God, it's the Bible. You got time for your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And then they ain't got no kids.
What we gonna do, man? We gonna have hood versions of Bible stories, man.
We already said a podcast.
We had the
I'm just saying.
Hey, the hood gospel, man. We gonna have it running. But Jen, you're definitely right. Social media is definitely a big distraction. It's something that I feel all of us kind of have like a tug and pull with, especially with it just being the norm, and like, you're looking at likes, you're looking at followers. It's something that, takes up a lot of your time because you're just scrolling on your timeline for most of the day. So yeah, Destiny, what's up?
I was gonna say, yeah, social media is very, very toxic, and it's some people, they really hide behind their phones, and they say some mean things. I was watching this dude. He's married and he's young. Him and his wife are young. She just gave birth, and he likes to cook for her. He likes to cook, and somebody said, "I hope that baby don't grow up looking like their mom." And then they didn't say anything else like after that, but we got the point. Like, that was really rude. And he said, first thing I'm gonna say is God bless you, because usually when people say rude or mean things, it's because they're going through it themselves. So I wish you well. And I hope my child does look like her mom, because her mom is beautiful. Social media, like, people get so caught. And there's people I work around. And that's another thing with me doing this fast is I'm fasting from trap music. Like, I really don't listen to it anymore, honestly. But there are still some songs that I'd be like, I like the song, I listen to it. But I haven't listened to like regular music for like a week now. By regular, I mean trap. Because it's so sad that's become regular. But the people I work with in the shop, to say all this is, a lot of them are infatuated by social media. I haven't found myself to be infatuated by social media since this summer. Like, I really wish I could delete it, but I have to use it for my business. That's the only part that sucks. But people get sucked in. They think that some people truly are happy every day of their lives, no matter what people say. They think that some people have great lives. No, that's not the case. But people just love it too much. And I think they've grown to love it more than they love themselves, because I think if you loved yourself enough, you would detox from it. But yeah, it's a toxic place if you make it toxic.
Yes. Nah, what's up?
I don't know if I would say people even love it. Like, I feel like it's just like one of those things when you have an actual, like, an addiction to like drugs and stuff, is like you hate to love it type thing. You know what I mean? It's actually like your body actually believes that it's something that's helping your survival type thing, if that makes sense. And I was gonna mention social media too, or not even social media, but just my phone in general, because the place that I'm at, like how I have mentioned before, that I'm working at my family business, and I'm in a position where I know that I could reap a lot of benefits from it. Like, it's just, I could just see it in front of me, like everything that I can learn, everything that I can gain from it. But I know one thing that's keeping me back is, like, if I get distracted for a second, or if I get bored for a second, I automatically go to my phone, and it will take my attention away from something that I could be putting into something else. And like, every time I do it, I'm just like, I know I am hurting myself right now, because it's just like there's so many things I can benefit from, but I can't get off my phone. Like, I would actually have to turn off my phone and put it away, like if I come to work, or like one thing, and like I'll be distracted on it for a good bit.
Yeah. Go ahead, Keith.
I'm just, yes, Naya, the whole phone. Just take the whole phone away. Because, social media for like years, I was in that point where I'm just like, it's horrible. Now I'm like, I can take breaks for long, extensive amount of time. Now it's like podcasts and YouTube. It's like my mind is trying to find the next little high. It's like,
No,
girl,
exactly.
right
That's what it
now.
is. Because I started on YouTube and I'm like, because I'm kind of bored with like Instagram and Twitter, really, unless there's like something juicy going on or like a trend, like a laughing, like joke trend or whatever. You go on Twitter, laugh or whatever. Like my addiction now is like YouTube and Netflix or Hulu, like if I have a show. So yeah, it's like you're looking for the next addiction to like keep your mind distracted.
And it's not like I'm looking for like, because you know, Instagram and Twitter, you can find like loads of information. This is just like random, like
Yes.
after the hours go by, I'm like, girl, do you really need to know how to make a this? And like, how is this adding to your life? You just wasted hours.
Right.
So
No.
that's where I'm at, y'all.
No, like I said, like, man, the devil or the enemy, you know, knows this. He knows exactly what are the things that are going to keep you away from diving into the word, building a relationship with God, all of this. Because you think about it, we be like, oh, we don't have no time to watch no sermon, or I ain't got no time to play this inside the whip, like gospel music, or I don't got time to read my Bible. But we have all of this time that we make in order to be distracted. Like literally, like aren't we factor in a solid 8 hours of our lives just to be distracted? And we could give 30 minutes of that distraction time to God, but we choose not to. You know what I'm saying? That's not the priority to us. And that comes off of, again, the devil knowing, okay, this is gonna be the little thing. It might not be super crazy like sex. It might be YouTube. It might be TikTok. It might be Clubhouse. It might be, you know what I'm saying? Like it might be all of these things that he knows you're gonna spend your time sitting on it and not being productive inside the word of God. You know, and so it's just like that's the test number 4, being able to be aware of like the things that do seduce you and not being a slave to it and not allowing it to be the thing that comes in between you and God and you and your faith walk. So that's number 4. We're going to go to number 5. Okay. So the test of suffering. And so again, bruh got lied on. He got a rape charge now that he ain't do, you know? And so now he's put in a pit for a few days. So now he's like in prison. He's not in the pit for a few days. He's actually in prison for years now. So originally when he was sold into slavery, he was only there for a few days. Now he's in prison because, you know, rape serious. So he inside there for like some years now. So as he's inside this, again, like place of solitude, it could be the time where he can be like, man, God, you ain't real. F you, bro. Like, because you put me through all of these circumstances and you told me that I was supposed to have blah, 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 blah. But my entire life up until this point, I ain't had none of that. So he can really denounce God at this point. But what does he do? He doesn't. He still stay thorough. He still keeps his faith and was like, you know what? I'm not understanding the road that it's taking me to. It doesn't look like it has no end goal. But at the end of the day, I'm going to trust you, God. In between him being inside this prison, you know, people are coming and going. Again, he has the power to interpret dreams. And so people are now hearing, oh, Joseph is the guy in cell B and he can interpret your dream. Let's see what Joseph has to say about your dream. He's telling people, oh man, you about to get out of jail. Oh man, you about to die in jail. And the stuff is happening. So everybody like, oh shoot, Joseph really know what he's talking about because all of his dreams is coming true when he's interpreting it. So for the people who he's telling, hey, you about to get out of jail, he's like, all right, man, I'm just letting you know when you get out of jail, remember a brother, man, you know, don't leave me hanging inside there. Let somebody on the outside know, let Pharaoh know that I got these powers, man, and I really can hook him up if he need it, bro, but just let him know. And so, you know, black folk, they like, oh yeah, bro, I got you, bro, you know, say less, man, you know, and they forget about bro. So they out living their best life once they out of jail and forgetting all about Joseph. So, you know, in this time, years go by. And so now Pharaoh, he has this guy inside the palace. And the guy's only job is to pretty much taste all of the food before Pharaoh eats it to see if it has poison in it or not. So I forgot what happened. I got to read through it again. But pretty much, bro didn't want to drink from What's up? What happened, Des?
Oh, you saying what happened with the cupbearer?
Cupbearer. What happened with that?
So the cupbearer had a dream and the other guy had a dream. I don't know how, but I've read this story so many times. Basically, he had a dream. So the cupbearer had a dream. Joseph interpreted it, and then when he did get out, just like Joseph told him, hey, Pharaoh, you're gonna have this dream. Pharaoh's gonna tell you this, this, and this, and then you're gonna say this, this, and this. So Pharaoh, I think this is when the famine came,
Yes.
and
Yes.
Pharaoh said something, and the cupbearer was like, "Oh, it's a guy in prison," and he interpreted the dream that I had, and Pharaoh was having weird dreams. So he was having weird dreams, and he called all the magicians in the land, and no magicians, spellcasters, no one could decipher it. And so that's when the cupbearer was like, Pharaoh, the dream I had when you locked me up, this man in prison interpreted just as I dreamed, and it happened. And when you killed the other man, he interpreted that just as it happened. And he can decipher your dream. So Pharaoh called Joseph out of jail. And then, there you go.
Yeah, you see, look, bro. Bible check, man. Bible check. Shout out to Destiny, man. Shout out to Destiny for reading her Bible. That's exactly what happened. So he was like, hey, man, go ahead and get bro up from the prison. So they pull Joseph into the palace, and they like Pharaoh on his throne. And he like, all right, bro, you got 5 minutes to interpret this dream. Boom. And so Joseph gets the dream. He like, all right, cool. So blah, blah, blah is going to happen. Blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, bruh's going to die. Bruh's going to live. Egypt is going to be straight. Blah, blah. Everything that he interpreted happened. And so Pharaoh like, oh, shoot, you really the truth. You know what, bruh? You about to be second in command. I'm really about to look out for you. So he literally pulls Joseph out of prison and puts him in number 2. And this is one of the most powerful things that we as Christians can really look at and say like, wow, because a lot of times we be in suffering, we be in hardships, we be in all of these different scenarios, and it just feels like there's no end to it. It feels like we're gonna be stuck there. But literally, God can take you from the end of the line and put you in the front of the line just like that. And all you have to do is stay down. And he'll literally say, okay, I know where your heart is. I know what you can handle. I know I put you through all of this BS and you ain't fold on me. So guess what? I ain't gonna fold on you and I'm gonna put you inside the front. And a lot of times that's so hard for us to fathom because of the fact that we look at God and we look at Jesus in such an earthly mindset. We look at the things that are like tangible. We're like, oh, this can happen. Okay, bet. It's Genesis 41. Yeah, like we look at everything that's like so tangible and we're like, you know what? I want this to happen in my life. I want God to bless me like this, but I know that ain't really realistic to happen inside 2020. So maybe that happened in 2025. And God is like, think bigger. You know what I'm saying? Like really like expand your territory of thought, because when you really manifest the stuff that you want and you really entrust God to be the one that's going to be able to provide it to you, he'll make it happen. He really can make it happen, bro. And I think that that's so hard for a lot of people to really fathom because they haven't seen it in their own type of life. And a lot of people have to see things in order for it to be key and then not.
This is a quick question. And it has to relate with my YouTube addiction. The whole idea of manifestation, because I feel like that is a buzzword, especially like these past couple of months. I've been seeing like people who don't necessarily like practice a particular religion or spiritual practice. Everyone's manifesting things, and it's like, what is that? Like, I mean, I know what it is. You're just saying stuff that you want to happen, I guess. But how does that relate more so to like us and I guess our particular? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Go ahead, Destiny.
I understand what you're saying. I just watched a video on this, and it was people talking about God delivered me from new age practices. It's in Habakkuk. Habakkuk. And I like to write things down and put it in Habakkuk. Okay, you know what, y'all? I'm gonna butcher the word. I'm sorry. But the main purpose of this person's video was manifestation and like law of attraction. When you take God out of it, you're saying that you're your own God. So which is like saying that you don't need God, and you do. I think you can give it to God to manifest everything for you. You can give it to God to bring things into your life. To an extent, I think the law of attraction is real as far as, you know, when you keep thinking negatively, what do you think is going to happen? If you don't think positive out of a situation, all you were expecting was negative, then yeah, negative can't happen. But as far as manifestation, I believe, you know, that's for you to go to God with what you want to happen and tell him, God, this is what I want. If this is what you want for me, one thing my pastor told me is say to God, God, whatever you have for me. His wife prayed for years, even while she was married to him, send me the man you have for me. Because she wasn't asking for a new man. She was asking him to become the man he was supposed to become. But without saying that, she was telling God, send me the man you have. So in Habakkuk, this is 2, verse 2. Then the Lord replied, write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets so that a herald may run with it. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. So what you write down will happen. What you write down will come to happen at the time it's supposed to have happened. So I kind of see as how that's manifesting. But I think the main thing is you're supposed to bring it to God. I feel like that's how it relates to us. Whatever you want, whatever you need, whatever you see, you should bring it to God to do for you.
Facts. Hold on real quick, Dree, right before you, I'm gonna get Jen, Dree, and then we still coming to Naya.
So manifestation, I don't know, I don't talk about my spiritual background that much, but I grew up Baptist, and like when I got into college and stuff, I started learning more about chakras, and the secret is like, what was the word that you use, like a buzzword? So the secret, that's what it is. The law of attraction was the secret and manifestation. And you know, I was really, as I started my spiritual journey, I realized how many times I was feeding my demons. Chakras is not of God. I won't go into more things because of out of respect of where y'all are at for your in your journeys. So I'm just gonna skip ahead to manifestation. So Exodus chapter 3:14, where Moses is talking to God, and he's like, when the people ask like who you are, what do I say? Who do I say you are? Do y'all know? I'm gonna try to do the teacher thing. Do y'all know what God's response was?
Let us,
I know what you're talking about, but I forgot what exactly he said, and I don't want to say the wrong thing because I think I have an idea.
Did you
Okay.
say I am?
Yes, he said I am. And think about manifestation. People are saying like, oh, use that, but that's God's name. So to piggyback off of what Destiny's saying, you are taking God out of that. I was one of those people who be like, the universe, you're discrediting God when you are doing it. And it's like, we don't mean to do it. Like I have students who are like, they're good kids. They don't do anything, but that's the problem. They don't do anything. I don't ever get any work from them. I don't ever get any problems out of them, but you're still not, you know, doing the right thing. You're still not in compliance. Just because you're not, you know, making the situation worse doesn't mean you're making it better. So just because like you don't mean to disrespect God or be like blasphemous or things like this, it's not your intention. It's like once you know better, you do better. So one of God's names is I am. So you don't control anything. You don't manifest anything. You really have to give it to God. So like just what Destiny said, that's confirmation. I am proof of that because oh look at me going ahead with the I'm let me go with I'm proof of that. You just gotta, just the more you know, like once you know better, you do better, and you just have to keep him at the head of your life.
Amen. No, definitely.
Are
Huh?
we, I didn't get to hear the beginning. Are we specifically talking about manifestation or like all new age practices?
Really, in terms of new age, that's where I'm at in my journey, because I don't know what to call it, where I was going. Like I said, I grew up Baptist, and I was like, I don't know, anybody else who grew up Baptist, like at a point in your life, your mom gave you the choice, you coming with me to church or not. And I was the one where like, nope, I'm not going. All right, okay, I'll go this time, or very flip-floppy with it. And then when I went to college, I was just like, oh, I want to get into church because that's what I was used to. That was my foundation. But I'm like, oh, it's okay to do this and it's okay to do that, and not really reading the word and going off what people say, like, oh, when the praises go up, the blessings come down. That's nowhere in the Bible. Or like the money is the root of all evil. No, it's the love of money is the root of all evil. Like getting back word based, because the word is factual.
No, definitely. Hold on. I'm trying to keep everybody like in time. So I'm gonna go to Dree. I'm gonna go to Naya. Moji, if you got a point, we'll go you after like Naya and stuff like that. But Dree, go ahead.
Okay, so personally, I do not like the word manifestation. Like, I just don't like it. I really feel like a lot of people have run like really far away from it. So, something that I've recently started that, number one, writing my notes and being very intentional about like when I read my Bible or like when I'm listening to a YouTube video on the word or anything like that. I write in my notebook. And then something else that I've been doing is specifically writing down my prayer list and being very specific about the things that I want to go to God in prayer about. Because something that I realized that I was doing in my prayer life was just saying like, oh God, I thank you for this day, being very general and not being very specific, because God is a very specific God. So therefore I'm going to him to be very specific about the things that I need, the things that I want. So I definitely would say like if you're struggling with that or whatever, I definitely have. But I started writing down my prayer list, and it's definitely made me, number one, a better prayer, and being very conscious of that. I don't make things happen on my own. Like it's not me at all. I'm just a very little piece in God's very great equation. So yeah.
Amen. Definitely. Naya, what's up?
Yes, I was gonna say something about what you had said before. What was it? I think I remember as I start speaking, but I was gonna say how recently I've been thinking of the fact that I will usually, when I think of how I want to develop and grow my relationship with God, and how I'm just like, okay, I need to sit down and read. Okay, I need to sit down and actually give him time and everything. But I always make the excuse of like, but I got to do this, like I got to do this and I got to do this. But at the end of the day, the things that I say that I have to do, sometimes I don't even end up doing it. So it's really just kind of like running away from it. I think I've spoke on this before, as have many of us. But yeah, like running away from actually spending time with him. And I don't know why that is. Like I still don't even know why that happens. But also, even when it comes to like reading and stuff like that, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but sometimes I start falling asleep. Like not even with the Bible, but just like reading in general. Sometimes if it's not something that I really want to read. And I don't know if that's just because I haven't read as much as I used to when I was little, and so like my brain isn't like as like trained, if that makes sense. Like, you know how they say like you train your brain as well, like it's a muscle as well, so like when you read you're actually building it. But yeah, I don't know, you had said something, Jay, and that reminded me of like avoiding like actually spending time with him when you have a whole bunch of distraction time anyways.
Hold on. Let me see if Destiny, go ahead, and then I'll address that too.
I ran over here because I was on the other side of my house. That's why apartment. That's why the camera was off. But Naya, you said something, and Jay, the pastor you put me on to, I'm very, very, very picky about whose sermons I watch, because I do believe God has given me a great ability. Um, and it's kind of like the gift of is discernment the word when you can like decipher things? Yes. When it comes to people, I'm very, as soon as I meet you, and I'm not like judging a book by its cover, but anyways, let me get to the point. The pastor you put me on to when you post down your page, love him, was watching a service by him today and yesterday, didn't even realize an hour went by. I never sit there and I listened to the whole thing. But Naya, you said you feel like you didn't like, you were running away, and just mainly the main thing was time. He had the most perfect analogy, and I wish I had something in my house, and I do have a little cylinder, but imagine a cup.
Oh, I think I saw it. Yes, that's why I was actually gonna, everything I just said, I was gonna comment on the video that Jay posted on 1-800 pray for me.
It was the one that was on there, making time.
Yeah.
And it is, because let me tell you, so
that's what made me think about it.
When I would run out the house and I wouldn't spend time with God, because some mornings I'll do Uber, I feel very weird not Bible studying first. So I feel like, and I don't like to Bible study at night. I really like it in the morning. And I know I could do it and go to sleep to it, but I still feel like I didn't have a good day if I don't start in the morning. Morning and night to me is very beneficial. But I have to spend my time with God and seek. Me and my pastor go over this, and it's in Romans, and I'm gonna find the verse for y'all, and I'll send in a group chat. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. My pastor kill me if I get this verse wrong. We go over it so much. In his righteousness, and that's not word for word, but that's how it goes. But for like, there's another verse. When you go after God first, everything else aligns. Everything. Some things feel like the things that you don't want to fall off, they will fall off, because those might not be things that God had for you. And you like, but why does this have to fall off? It has to, because that's not in his vision for you. There are days, even me, that like, I mean, Jenny could tell you when she got her makeup done by me like 2 months ago, I was not this person. Like, on the first call I got on, I was like, I think I said one thing. My spirit is so fulfilled by God, because the more time I spend with him, the more in love I become with him. I grew up scared of God, but now I feel loved by God. And when the best thing I say is start your day off with God. That's how I feel. I don't know about no one else, but you'll stop feeling like, oh, I don't have time. Like I like I said, I just watched an hour sermon, didn't even realize an hour went by. When you make that time for God, you're not gonna feel like you don't have time in your day. You're gonna feel like, wow, I got so much more time. Just like that pastor said, I used to feel like I didn't have no time in my day. Now I feel like I have so much time in my day to get so much done. Telling you.
For real. Like when I tell you, like he started off that's like an old sermon that we did like at the beginning of the year, but he started off the year like that. And every single time where I'm like, because I'm that person, I'm somebody that like, I just like to be busy. I like to be occupied. I don't really like to sit around, you feel me? So I like to be productive. But when I saw myself putting all of those like, putting God, those little like golf balls or whatever, like in the cylinder for my own personal life, I saw how it changed. I saw how I was more at peace. I saw how I wasn't stressing and struggling as much as I needed to, because I literally was prioritizing, okay, I'm going to set aside this time for God. I'm going to set aside this time for me to like, pray. I'm going to set aside this time for me to watch sermons. And it really shifted my entire type of like feel and my entire type of like spirit. And so I think that a lot of times, again, like the analogy, we just put stuff there and we try to like fit in and be like, oh shoot, I forgot. Let me try and pray. Let me try and read. Let me try and watch the sermon. And it just seems like homework, or it seems like, something on top of that when it's not our focal point. And so when we can get to that focal point, it really shows like how we look at it and the perspective that we have.
Gotcha.
Y'all were talking about Michael Todd.
No, he had like something like similar to it too. It was crazy because I think he did
What pastor y'all talking about?
the one, the pastor for like Peace Baptist. Like I put it on the 1-800 page or whatever, and so
Let's see.
Pastor Tyrone Barnett, yeah, Barnett. Mhm.
Oh, okay. For some reason, okay. Ignore me.
No, you good. So I put the illustration on the like on the page or whatever yesterday, and so. But and are y'all liking that too? Because I like to like kind of just give y'all little like tidbits so y'all can have those like
Yeah, I think that was really good because it reached out to people outside of our group.
exactly.
So yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm trying to make the page where it can be a hub, man. So we gonna reel these folk in, man. We gonna reel it in and do what we're supposed to do. But I'm gonna go ahead and get back on. Go ahead, Jen. Jennifer. Oh.
Okay, I was struggling. Okay, I'm a crybaby and I'm getting emotional. Naya, every I don't think it's every week, but it's very often I hear you seeking after God, and I don't want to cry. Okay, y'all, excuse me. They're happy tears. I just want to let you know God is seeking after you. I like look back, because Snapchat and things like show you your memories, and I can literally make a timeline of all the times God was like, come, like we're calling me, and He is calling you. And I'm praying for you for your journey. Go to Him, and like you are already. I really don't know you that well, but I know you're already like a well-rounded, successful individual. God is calling you. Go to Him. Nothing to be afraid of. And I hope you find like a leader, like how Destiny has her pastor. I had a teacher and her husband, they taught me the gospel. That's what I suggest to you, but really like it's just your own path. But studying the gospel will really open it up for you, and just keep your heart open because He's calling you. And like you are it what is it? Destiny, you know it too, but those with ears, let them hear, and you have ears to hear the gospel. And that's my piece. Okay. Back
I'm,
to your regular scheduled sermon.
I'm telling you, y'all all have like these components of y'all, like, personally that are just like, oh my God, right? And I know y'all might see it and some of y'all might not see it, but like y'all are all leaders, bro. Like y'all literally are leaders and y'all are like people who really can like progress the kingdom of God inside y'all own lanes. And so like I just want to, and that's why I felt like this sermon that he did, I was like, oh man, I can't wait to bring it to 1-800 because it was just like it's something that I feel like if we really kind of implemented this inside our own type of like lifestyles and we kind of see it for what it is, it really can benefit all of us as we're having disciples like come to through us. You know what I'm saying? Like we're the people who are extending out into the world and bringing people in. And so I just want that to be however that looks like inside your own path, but I'm mad proud of y'all because literally it's already enough to devote 2 hours of your life to talking about God and listening about God every Thursday. And that's not an easy thing to do. So just the move and the want to do that, that's the step forward in the right direction. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna try, like I said, I'm gonna try and get y'all in, man. And so we have 2 more points and I'm gonna be done with it. So again, now Joseph, he has clout. He can interpret Pharaoh's dreams. He's second in command in Egypt. Like Egypt is like Cali at this time. So it's like LA. So they just like, bro, like they got all type of clout, everybody inside there, everybody's seen, they got gold everywhere, everything's plated in gold. Y'all know what Egypt looked like. Y'all seen the Prince of Egypt. And so and so he's second in command, you feel me? And so he got all types of clout. Even through this, he still was able to stay humble, which is going into point number 6, the test of superiority. So are you able to let me see how I directed this. Can you remain humble and do God's work after you are positioned ahead of others? So now in this point, Joseph is put in front of everybody. He's second in command. He's not at the back no more. He's out of the pit. He's out of the prison. He's in the palace now. He's number 2 in command. But even through this, he was still able to be humble and hold it down through all of this. So are you able to do that? Because again, a lot of times we are placed inside these predicaments where now we kind of got a little bit of clout, we got a little bit of following, we got a little bit of money, you know what I'm saying? We got a little bit of status, and we feel like we did it on our own. We feel like we were self-made. We're the ones who brought us to this point. In reality, it's God putting us in that position. And I know a lot of us have been inside positions like that, and God had to humble us and check us because we thought that, you know what I'm saying, we was it, and we was smelling ourselves. And God was like, hold up now, I did that. Start back at square one. And he put us back at go. And so how do y'all feel about that? Have y'all ever been in those positions where y'all got some type of positioning, power, status, money, whatever, and you were smelling yourself and it fell flat on your face? If not, it's okay.
Could I speak on that really quick? I don't feel like I've ever been so hyped up that I have like pulled away from myself completely, but at the same time, I think that's something that I am very wary of because I feel like it's something that can happen so sneakily that it just takes you over, and before you could even like like stop yourself, you're like in there and you like need someone to pull you out, or you gotta like snap back out of it. Because I feel like there was a time in college where I just felt like I found my people, like I was living life. And like a thing with me too is I like to focus on myself if I can. Like I care a lot for people. And so I feel like over time, I've recognized that because I care so much, I have a tendency to pull back and really just focus on myself and not give too much or not focus on outside things as much as I can to protect myself. And so when I do, sometimes I feel like I don't know, just depending on what phase of life I'm in, I can get boosted to a point where it's like dangerous, if that makes sense. Like not so much off of clout, but off of life. Like if that does that make sense? And so I feel like that is something that I have to be wary of, because if I get to a point in my life where I'm just like having fun, like it just seems like all bliss, and I love like the fast pace, like if it gets fast paced again and like I don't have my foundation set, I definitely think that's something that can take me over. Like not even the clout of it, it's just like the like fast pace of it, like the people, like the energies, that's what I get high off.
Nah, for sure. I already knowing that. And like I said, I'm the same type of way. I'm a type of person that I like high speed. I like everything to kind of like, go in order and stuff. And so when things are thrown off, it kind of stumble me and it makes me be like, you know what I'm saying? I don't really want to go through that, but I definitely can empathize with that completely. Moja, what's up?
I had this past summer, this past summer, I was working with a lot of different artists. There's just one particular artist I was working with, and it was gonna get to a good point because he's already more well established and he signed to a major label. And so he was like, yeah, like you're gonna like stuff was starting to pick up back for him. So he was like getting ready to go to the studio, go to LA, yada yada. Well, I was gonna be flown out, I was gonna get flued out. I was so excited because I was like, this is finally what I've been wanting. Like I want my career to jump. And it's like I was like sooner than my timetable. So it was like I was getting so caught up in it. So where it wasn't like where I had like a major ego trip, but I was like, I did it. Like I got the bag. Like I'm cooling. I'm set. I don't got to worry about nothing. And in that, like, it made me like realize it was like, oh, so I don't really need, not that I don't need God, but I don't need God for this anymore. Like I got it. Like I can do it. And just as quickly as I was ready to go, just as quickly as my behind has been here in Atlanta since, and I have yet to go to California, and it didn't work out. And I was like, dang, okay. And I was like, at first I was of course devastated because I thought my once popping career was about to start off. I'm like, I'm at ground zero, but it's like, now I get to at least build it with a solid foundation.
Right.
But yeah, that was a very humble moment of mine, because I was like, I'm about to be at Atlantic Records, I'm about to be doing it, and just as quickly as it came.
And like I said, I empathize. Like some of y'all know, I
And I know what you. So I get what you mean, because I was there with you.
I'm
I was
telling
there
you,
with you.
like when that time frame, because I think we was going through it around the same time frame. So it's like I was like, oh, I'm about to be on. You feel me? Like I was like, oh, literally, I was like, God picked me up and put me all the way in the front. So I was like feeling myself, and I was like, wow, like God really showed me, because in that time I wasn't thinking about him. I wasn't thinking about anything that has to do with my faith.
Yeah.
Even though it coincide with my faith, as far as we was like morally on the same type of chord with, like, you know, the person I was about to be on with, at the end of the day, I wasn't thinking in how am I about to build up the kingdom. I was thinking about the
I'm
car.
about to be on. I'm about to be successful.
Like I'm thinking about everything. I'm like, oh, I'm about to put my homies on. I'm putting blah 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 on. I'm not thinking I'm about to put God on. You feel me? None of that was like crossing my mind, and it was really something that God was like, I'm gonna show you this glimpse and see how you respond to it. Are you gonna backslide? Are you gonna go to your old ways, or are you gonna continue to be disciplined? Because I know He was honoring the fact that I was disciplined up until that point, and so, and that was just humbling. And He does that to everybody. It's not going to be the last time that it possibly happened to me. I hope it is.
I learned my lesson. That was a different kind of heartbreak.
Oh,
That's
that
a
was,
different kind of heartbreak.
that was a different type of heart. I swear to God.
Oh, me.
Bro,
You
nah.
would have thought like I had just lost my relationship that I had been in. Like I just got a divorce.
I learned my lesson. I'm good on it. Nah, what's up?
No, I was gonna say, do you all think that you can, like, even if when you do get put on, do you think that you can be doing things that like reflect like working for God and doing God's work, but still not actually be in it and working for Him? If that makes sense, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm
What
being
do you
fully
mean?
in your head, but you're like doing things like that, have
Aren't
to do
explicitly like Jesus?
Yeah, like God, Jesus, like all that.
I literally dumb down like my field and what I work in to like, and I dumb it down to like how Jesus was in the world but not of the world. I can be in the world and around these people and like in various studios or wherever I be, but just because they're partaking in certain things doesn't mean I have to. Just because they speak a certain way doesn't mean I have to. And it's weird enough because 9 times out of 10, someone questions you about it, or people, when you having conversations, you have a different perspective 9 times out of 10 because everyone kind of think the same way. But literally, they ask you your opinion. I never shy away. I've never had a conversation where I shied away from mentioning God. So I just kind of use it as an opportunity. And that's another reason why I love doing what I do. Areas where I don't feel like there's enough God conversations.
Yeah.
So it's just like, just because I'm in these areas doesn't mean I have to do what they do.
Right. And to piggyback on that, Moja, because I'm the exact same way. And I realized that a lot of people respect you when you have your own, like, you ain't about to be folding, like, and you really stand your ground and say, like, hey, this is why I believe, this is why I'm not. They don't look at you like, oh man, like you lame for you lame for doing whatever they do. So it's like a lot of times, a lot of times people wish they could do that, and they like, so that's what I've been learning, at least for my own personal self. And I've been just trying to kind of make that more accessible for other people inside my field, so they don't have to necessarily feel like, oh, this is corny, or this is cliche, or this is, what I'm saying, like all of the negativity that may come from it. And it can kind of just feel like it's natural, because we all naturally feel the exact same way. What's up, Zay? Appreciate you for coming in, man. I'm gonna give little summaries like in between, so you ain't gotta feel like you missed out on everything. But I appreciate pulling up. So getting Bari in this guy too. Hold up.
Whoa, Bari's in here.
Bari, what's happening with you, player?
And one thing too, I also noticed, Naya, is that people like to ask questions, they get curious. Like whether it's like when you're having that conversation, or honestly, if you just post like God related content, and it's not like you're scarfing Jesus down people's throats, but just like simply like you just say something simple that relates to Jesus, someone will swipe up. Like I remember a lot during this summer when all the riots and stuff were happening. I was saying stuff and I had a lot of God conversations with a lot of different artists just off the strength of them knowing like I believe in God. And it's like a lot of them, they didn't. Some of them did. Some of them know there's a higher power, but it's like people don't mind having these conversations. They're curious. So it's like, it's not hard. I think sometimes people make it hard because they think there's certain perceptions about what they think is going to happen when you bring up Jesus. It's not like Jehovah Witness and you're going to get a door slammed in your face or anything like that.
Yeah, that's definitely that, because that'd be my main struggle with it. Because I don't be wanting to scarf down people's throats. You know, I want y'all to be able to have your own relationship and build to that point on your own. But I do know that it helps if I just present it. I'm not like gonna try and push it down. I'm just gonna put it at the door and say, hey, it's right here if you want it. You feel me? And so that's what I've been trying to do. Now to answer the point that you was talking about, like when you like hit me, like even though the projects that I was working on, their artist was related to Jesus, what came down to it was my fandomness of that person overrided my love for God. So, or love for Christ. So like I was such like in awe of that person where I was like, bruh, this person versus bruh, Jesus like really is doing this. You feel me? And so that's what was the thing where it's like unconsciously I made it an idol, and it shouldn't have been that way, even if we were working on God fearing projects. And so for what's up, Bari? What's up? So appreciate you for pulling up, man. I'm gonna go ahead and summarize so y'all can see where we at with it. If you follow the page 1-800-PRAY for me, I have the notes on there. So we just been following in order. I put some notes. It's called The Test of Leadership. And so we were talking about the story of Joseph and how he was a really solid leader and was appointed from God, you know, to have leadership tendencies, but he went through trials in order to get there. And so I'm gonna summarize that. I'm gonna go ahead and get y'all there. So pretty much the first one was the test of surrendering. So up front, God gave Joseph vision and was like, bro, you're gonna be this inside the world and you're gonna be powerful and people are gonna love you, blah, blah. So he bought into God's like plan for his life and was humble enough to say, okay, I'm gonna follow God and holy. After he got that was the test of solitude. His brothers was like hating on him because of that. So they was like, you know, we're gonna sell you to slavery because you know you're the favorite inside the family and we ain't effing with you like that. So they put him in slavery and now he's inside like a pit. So that's solitude. He has to deal with himself. Number 3 was the test of servanthood. After he was sold into slavery, he was put into, you know, this guy named Potiphar. He had clout inside Egypt. He was put inside his house and he had to serve him. That wasn't what he was called to do, but at the end of the day, that was something that Jesus put inside his, like, that put him in his path in order to get to the place that he needs to be. So the test of servanthood was number 3. As he's serving, he works his way up to being the top servant. Number 4 was the test of seduction. As he's inside the house, he was met by a cougar that lived inside the house. The cougar wanted to sleep with him. He was like, nah, I can't sleep with you like that because God told me not to. She gets mad. So she says that bruh raped her. And the guy that he was serving that was his wife. So he got upset. He was like, oh, so you like raping my wife while I'm gone? I'm gonna throw you into prison. He's inside prison for some years. After that is the test of suffering. So now he's suffering through prison. Like, you know, he's inside prison for no reason. Nobody told him. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. He's there. He's interpreting people's dreams and he's telling them, hey, don't forget me when you get out. Don't forget me when you get out, you know, tell people about me so I can get out of prison. They forget about him. Test of superiority. Somebody remembers him and was like, oh shoot, you know, bruh can interpret your dreams to the king. So they was like, hey man, get him out of prison so he can interpret his dream. He interprets the dream actually happens. So now he got all types of clout and he was boosted to number 2 in Egypt. So that's where we are. And we coming to the last little tail end of it. And so now as he's, you know, clouded up inside Egypt, there's a famine that's starting to happen inside Egypt and people are now looking for food. So of course, Egypt is the hub for food. And as it's the hub for food, everybody's coming and asking Pharaoh to, you know, get some grain or rice or whatnot. So this is where Joseph is in charge, like giving out food to people. And in the distance, he see his brothers come up asking for food. Now the brothers don't know that this is Joseph that they sold into slavery. They think Joseph is dead and gone by now. So it's been years since they seen bro. And you know, he's in Egyptian clothes, so they don't recognize him up front, but he recognized them. So now it's like you're in front of the person that literally sold you to slavery, and from them selling you into slavery, you went through all of this hell. You end up coming up on top, but you know, you went through all of the circumstances that you didn't ask to be just because you were offended. So now I'm offended. So number 7 is the test of setting aside your offenses. Are you able to look the person inside? I mean, the person that offended you, the person that harmed you, the person that, you know, did you wrong, look them in the face and say, I forgive you, no matter what. Because that's what Joseph had to do. He had to say, am I gonna forgive them? Or I can literally have them done right now. They can go ahead, all be killed. I could put them in prison for the rest of their life because of what they did. But instead, he was able to mend that relationship and say, look, I'm your brother. And though I was hurt, I still forgive y'all through this. I think this is one of the hardest things for Christians to do, is to forgive, because it's easy to say, oh, you should forgive people. But what happens when somebody kills your moms? Or what happens when somebody, like, you know, rapes your sister? Or what happens when somebody spits in your face? You know, are you able to really forgive the person who offended? And that's a hard thing for all of us to do. I'm not even gonna say that I'm in that place where I even understand forgiveness to that extent where I'm able to really move forward. I would like to be in that place, but I just know the flesh in me and the human in me is hard for me to say wholeheartedly, I can really like move forward and forgive somebody. Moja, what's up?
My bad. I was, you know, I'm working on the camera. I'm
You all
sorry.
good. You all good. By the way, for everybody that came in, if you want to speak, feel free to. All you have to do is just go unmute, and then I'll be able to see it, and I'll chime in and say, oh, whoever. But yeah, so talk about that. Like, how do y'all feel about forgiveness? I know this has been a very like constant subject matter that we've been talking about throughout this year specifically. So how do y'all feel about forgiveness? Do y'all feel like y'all are in a better space than y'all were at the top of the year, or do y'all think y'all still in the same space? Like, go ahead and speak on that when it comes to just like forgiveness. Zay, what's up?
Yo, I feel like I'm in a better space than I was now, because I will say with 2020, this was like a year that was really gonna test that for a lot of people, because everybody's kind of finding their own authentic path, and in that process, somebody is gonna feel like they got did wrong. Somebody's gonna feel like they got betrayed. You know what I mean? Left, right, is gonna be a whole lot of unanswered questions and like opportunities where you wish there was closure that you never got. All these other things. So you know what I mean? I think this is the year that really tried it the most. But I feel like step one is if you can, number one, go within. You know what I mean? Then you can figure out what did you learn from XYZ, and then how do you move past it, and then figure out your own purpose or whatever it may be that you were supposed to gain from that betrayal or whatever, you know what I mean? And that process alone helps the forgiveness for sure. And I would say that's definitely helped me on this journey, because you know what I mean, it's real easy to like hold things against people when you're not even satisfied with your life.
That's really good, man. Like, and you 100% right, man. I think that, at least for me, I think that it's just been kind of like put in my face so many times where it felt like God was just like, I need you to understand this, because you might think that you are good at forgiving folks, but you really not there yet. And so he was testing me through different circumstances, through different people, and just through like this year alone, where I feel like in a better space. And again, I don't think that I'm 100% perfect when it comes to it, but I think I am progressing in my thought process of forgiveness. But anybody else want to chime
I
in?
agree with you.
What's up?
I agree with what you said, just about the whole progression thing. But personally, um, in Joseph's circumstance, it's cool because that was his blood. So it's like, okay, I can forgive my blood. But like when it's your coworker or your boss, it's like, we ain't got no ties. Like, I see you for a couple hours and then I go home. So just I feel like how you said God just puts you in particular circumstances that test your ability to forgive, so that you can kind of check yourself and check in with yourself to know that, okay, this is an area that I need to work on, that needs to be strengthened, I guess.
No, definitely. And that's 100% right. I think the difference in it also is the fact that it can hurt you more when it's somebody that you closest with. You feel me? Like if it's your best friend, if it's your blood, like you can really like be, it can penetrate a lot more. Like I can walk away from a coworker, I can slap a coworker and not have to see them ever again in my life. But like my family or somebody that I really care about, I'm tied to them forever. And what I think I learned inside this year alone specifically is, forgiveness is not for that person, it's for you. Because a lot of times when we're living in a state of unforgiveness, it holds us captive. And it's something that, we can't move past, and we can't really like get to the full-fledged blessing that God possibly has for us, because we're so like tied to the situation, or we're tied to the person that hurt us or whatever. And it's like, it's okay. And it's not to say that you are wrong for feeling the way that you feel about the person, because again, we are human and we are, not God. So it's easy to say this person hurt me. 1 + 1 is 2. This person hurts me. I don't forgive them because it really hurt me and they don't understand how they hurt me. It is what it is. But it's about what is your cap limit on your own personal growth if you're not okay with allowing yourself to move past. And a lot of people think moving past or just forgetting about it or putting it in the distance and saying, oh, time is going by, I forgave them, it is what it is. But that's not always forgiveness either. So anybody else want to speak on it, or anybody got something that they want to say about it? Barry, what's up?
Yeah, I just want to say, I feel like one major part of the process is definitely also accepting it. So whatever might have happened to put you in a position to have to forgive someone, you have to accept what happened, understand that whatever happened might have happened for a certain reason. And, like you said, forgiveness is for you, it's not for the other person. Whatever that person did, let that be, let that happen. You move on with yourself. Whatever that situation was might have made you a better person. You have to learn to forgive that person and allow things to be what they are, because realistically, the situation can't change. You can't go back and change what happened. So it is what it is. Move forward, accept it, understand it.
Yeah, and again, to kind of like piggyback on that, again, it's I know a lot of people, like, again, for either myself or like people inside this chat or just like in general, I know it feels like it's easier said than done due to the circumstance and the situation that it might be. You know what I'm saying? There are certain things, okay, somebody didn't hold the door open for me. That's easy for me to get over it and say, like, I forgive them for not holding the door on me and it pissed me off in that time. But when you are offended because somebody actually did something to you, I understand that that's completely different, or that's completely hard because of the fact of your own personal tie to it, your own personal tie to that person, or whatever the case may be. But I think, like kind of what Barry said, like, God does, my own personal belief, I don't believe that God just does things just because. Like Barry said, I think that God lets us go through certain situations to build our character in certain circumstances in order to prepare us for the future. Because if what I'm saying, Joseph's brothers never sold him to slavery and he didn't go through all the stuff that he went through, he would have never been in a position to be second in command for Egypt, you know what I'm saying, where he is now in a completely different power structure than he was accustomed to, or he could even fathom due to his circumstance. So I'm not saying that, like, that's going to be everybody's story, but I do recognize that God does put us in predicaments and positions in order to enhance our perspective, enhance our character, and enhance our maturity spiritually, so we can depend on him through it versus allowing us to only think that, like, it's going to be that way forever. Key, what's up?
I didn't unmute. Ooh. I'm sorry.
Oh, you all good. You all good. Did anybody else have anything they want to say on it? Like, anybody disagree, feel free to, like, like, it's a safe space. So
I
already.
feel like this is where I shut down last time. I was watching like Transformation Church. I was listening to you all, and I'm listening again. It's just, I'm hearing what you all are saying and I'm trying to digest it. But like, yeah, I don't disagree. I want to know what comes next. Like everything I hear, like it doesn't talk about what comes next. I guess that's up to us, but like it is a me problem. It's on, I was the one who got offended. So it's on me to forgive. But like, how do I move after that? Like, what if I see these people again? Which is like likely I won't. But what if I do? So I don't know.
I'm gonna go Moja, then I'm gonna go Bari, then I'm gonna go Dree.
I think sometimes we look at forgiveness as linear and like just like one event, but it's of course like with any progress or growth journey, it's fluid. You have ups and downs. You're not gonna really just because you forgive someone, it's not a magical thing that's just you're gonna be straight and be fine afterwards. I think you need to give yourself grace to be able to like realize that it's not going to be healed. It may take a day to a year. It really just depends. And you have to give yourself that room for that, because I think there's a difference. And you can tell in yourself when it's you are choosing not to forgive or choosing to be petty or choosing to have that resentment versus you genuinely just don't have it in you to be all cordial or what whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Like, I think you just have to give yourself that grace and that space to have that, because you're entitled to it. You didn't put that heart hurt there, but it's up to you to heal it. So you just have to give yourself the grace to figure that out.
Bari, what's up?
All right, so kind of to answer your question about what happens next. Like Moja said, it's not like linear. It's definitely ups and downs and whatever the case may be. But ultimately, I know through my own personal experience, it gets to a point where you kind of just gain a peace of mind. So if you run into that person, wherever, it's fine. You can run into that person, but you won't feel anything because you gain that peace of mind because you forgive them. And you pretty much any animosity or any emotion towards them, it kind of just disappears. You're not mad at the person, you aren't disgusted or whatever emotion you might have had towards them. It's kind of just gone because you gain that peace of mind, and it's literally a thing of it is what it is. So,
Dree.
I was just going to say that, like, something that I'm learning about forgiveness is that for me, at one point I felt like forgiveness just stopped at respect. Like respect, like, oh, okay, this person see who I am, I see who they are, and we just gonna leave it at that. But I had to realize that as a follower of Christ, I'm called to also not just respect that person, but also love that person and recognize what loving that person looks like. So, like, speaking on especially like coworkers, especially, I get that, girl. I'm with you, sis. But like knowing that I'm not just called to like respect them as who they are, but also love them with the love of Christ. And so that's not easy. And then even speaking on when you feel like you have nothing left, like you poured out what you could, knowing that your strength isn't in yourself. Your strength comes from God. Your strength comes from knowing that, okay, God has equipped me with everything that I need and that he is strengthening me even in this, even in whatever situation you may find yourself in. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that as people, I think where we kind of like the disconnect when it comes to forgiveness is we hate being hurt. You know, that's just simple and plain. People hate feeling hurt. People hate feeling vulnerable and then exposed. And so a lot of times we build up these walls, and if somebody broke that wall or we brought the wall down and they hurt us, now it's hard for us to ever get to that point of comfort or vulnerability again. I think that that's where I at least see forgiveness as where it's like, you know, you're not as guarded. You know, you're not somebody where it's like you're loving people by a stiff arm. You know, you're not loving people by like any type of like reservations or any type of conditions. And kind of like what Dree said, I think that again, it's not easy to do. It's not easy to love somebody. It's not easy to serve somebody when they hurt you, but that's what we're called to do. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what we're called to be. And we're not called to be that for them. We're called to be that for him. You know, it's called, we're doing that so we can hear well done from God versus well done from man. And I think that once we kind of look at it in that perspective where we're like, okay, I'm doing this because I want God to be proud of me for being, you know, man or woman enough to say, I'm gonna put my emotion aside, my difference aside, my offense aside, and I'm gonna just continue to live my life for the glory of him, no matter who likes it or not. That's just like the civil rights movement. Like people were spitting at them, people were like, you know, hitting them, beating them, you know, and they had to turn the other cheek and they had to, you know, really try and produce a sense of stability and a sense of composure because they knew at the end they was thinking about us versus thinking about themselves and their comfortability. And so when we kind of look at our own type of faith and our spirituality, like the civil rights movement, it's the same way where we're going to go through seasons and go in situations and settings where people are going to be dogging us, people are going to hurt us, people are going to spit on us and all of this, but it's not for us. You know, it's for the well-being of our kids. It's for the well-being of the kingdom. It's for the well-being of God and for ourselves to really get to a point of saying, yes, I am okay with being a Christ follower through and through, and not just when it's convenient for me to. So anybody had anything they wanted to add?
One thing, just that it's like, whoa, what am I even trying to say? Hold on. It's a continuous effort. Like to know that, okay, once I forgive this person, they're likely going to do the same thing again. So how am I now going to respond now that I have forgiveness, I guess, on the table?
Right. Right. And like you said, it's gonna happen again. People are gonna hurt you all day long. And I'm gonna put that chart up that I was talking about last week too, that I saw about like the offenses and all of that. Y'all see it later, but people are gonna hurt you. And like God said in Matthew, how many times are we supposed to forgive? 7 times 70. And that was just for us to see that we can't keep count of how many times we're supposed to forgive. He wants us to lose count on how many times we're supposed to forgive people. And that's 70 times 7. He didn't say days. He didn't say in a year span. He didn't say in a month span, a week span. It's about doing it thoroughly and not expecting for somebody to be living the way that they're supposed to live, but only for your own personal self, because you can only control yourself. You can't control other people. You can try and help other people. You can try and influence other people, but at the end of the day, it's up to them to move the way that they want to move. So anybody have any last remarks before we get up out of here? Anybody got anything they want to say towards that? Jen, I don't know if that helped. If it didn't help, you know what I'm saying? I apologize, but it's not.
No, I did want to say thank you. Like, I do appreciate that. Y'all, I'm not going to get into dates and details, but it's like, I feel like when I do finally let it go and like move on, I'll be good. It's just, it lives in my head rent free and I hate it.
Yeah.
Hate such a strong word. I hate it, but I'm hearing what y'all are saying. And I'm just like, I'm going to keep coming back here. I do appreciate y'all like so much for addressing my question, my comment, my concern. And you know, just keep pouring. Like put it in the chat, whatever you got on forgiveness, because it's just this one person who like is just lives in my head rent free. So yeah, in my spirit. That sounds bad. But yeah, thank you, y'all.
Honestly, if you want to keep talking about it, that's also fine. Like that's very valid because I feel like sometimes at a certain point people are like, you need to let it go
Yeah.
or you need to move on. But it's like if you're not over it and you need to talk about it, talk about it. So
And you know, that's how people started. When it first happened, everybody was like, and I'm like, like I need it. And you thank you. Because in the beginning I was not able to talk about it. So this is the most that I've talked about it.
And it's okay.
So
It's okay to talk about it. Like literally, like that's why lamentations are there. We're supposed to lament. You know, we're supposed to be able to cry out, and we're supposed to be the ones who like seek God and talk about it, and have community where it's a space to talk about it. You know, have safe people around you that don't like make it like not valid, you know, as far as like, you know, your feelings, your emotions and your expressions and stuff. But it's kind of like you have to meet people halfway as far as being open to the possibility of not feeling the way that you feel, you know, because I think a lot of times we as people can get stuck in like the trauma and stuck inside the emotion and the feel of it, and we're okay with being stuck in it because we want people to hurt the way that we hurt, but we have to try to actively move forward, and you just have to have, you know, people in your corner that will move forward with you.
amen.
Anybody else had anything they wanted to say? If not, you know, we can move forward to, that was the last of the notes that I had for it. So that was the end. So we can get,
I
what's up?
just finished my camera. So
Look, man, look at that.
took me all day, but we're here.
Hey, we here. So yeah, bro. So all right, well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up. Anybody got any prayer requests or praise reports before they get up out of here?
As y'all know, my mom is okay. She just got her medicine prescribed to her for what it actually is. I still don't really understand what it is, but it's not cancer. So, but she's doing a lot better. She just had her birthday on Tuesday, and all she did was sleep, eat, and she was very happy with that. So, thank y'all for praying because we were shook for a little bit.
For sure, man. Shout out to moms. Glad that she's okay. Anybody else got any more praise reports or prayer requests that they want to, you know, talk?
Final, school, college, please, Lord Jesus, please.
Already knowing, man. I'm definitely praying for everybody that's still in school because, godly, everybody feeling the same type of way. So at least y'all know that it ain't just you. You feel me? As hard as it is, it's almost done. A week and a half, what? Like last like week or so. So definitely praying for that. Anybody else?
I have a little over a week before my set goes on a hiatus for a month. So yeah, that, and I'm in the process of trying to find a new apartment. Keep that in prayer because doing it in New York is like the impossible. So yeah.
Got you. All right. Got you. Anybody else? Going once.
One of my family members just had surgery, so just keep them in your prayers so they have a smooth healing process. So yeah, that's all.
Okay. Got you. Anybody else?
Honestly, just for the success and you know, I mean, everybody to be prosperous closing out this year and entering the new year. Really, just want everybody to be their best self, you know, and be their higher self. That's really it.
Okay, most deaf already. Barry, what's up?
My grandparents was here over Thanksgiving, and also they kids, my uncles and stuff, and basically they kind of went over their will with everybody. So kind of just want to pray that they time to go don't come too soon. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I don't want to see that day, not just yet. So yeah.
For sure. All right. Anybody else? All right, going once, going twice. All right, cool. Everybody bow your heads, close your eyes. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for today. Thank you for allowing us to come yet again on this Thursday to, uplift your word, God. I'm thankful that we were able to really just digest and have a great dialogue on the life of Joseph and just the path that he took to have better leadership. And I pray that this message kind of is instilled into us so we can have these steps in order to go forward into the world and be greater leaders ourselves in your kingdom, God, and to exemplify your light that you shine bright through Jesus Christ. I pray for Kia as she's looking for a new apartment, inside this season. I pray for her health and I pray for her mental state when she's dealing with her coworkers, because we know they get on her nerves, God. I pray for the family members who we have inside the group chat that just had surgery, and I'm praying for their speedy recovery as they're going through these seasons of having to just be able to, be covered by your name and covered by your blood. God, please protect them and hold them. I pray for every student inside this chat, because Lord knows finals is going crazy this year. I pray that you instill some type of peace of mind for every single student, so they know that through all of the struggle, through all the hardships, you're still there, God, and you know that you are the master writer and author of their lives. So no matter what the outcome may be, we know that you still have them covered and protected, God. I pray for everybody's mental state as we're still going through this global pandemic. Please allow us to just be able to have the stability to keep moving forward. I pray for the success of everybody as we're going into this new year, and allow us to take 2020 as the year of being conditioned in all types of aspects, so we can be able to come out super strong and greater in a sense of mind state, physically, emotionally, and mentally into the new year. I'm praying that Bari's grandparents continue to just live out their lives so they can be there with their with their grandkids and their family. God, I pray that you continue to pour into them and allow them to just be vessels of your name and your goodness, God, through their entire lives. God, continue to protect them and continue to be with them for as long as you seem fit. I pray for Moja's mom, and I pray that she just continues to be healthy and thankful that it's not cancer that she was dealing with, God. And again, I'm just praying over this entire group. Let us continue to have the resources and the tools to build up your kingdom, God, and to make disciples out of the world. In your name I pray, amen.
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 Real quick, because I know there's a couple creatives in here. I'm looking for a videographer and a photographer, but based in New Orleans. I don't know. I'm from the East Coast. I feel like that's kind of close, maybe. I don't know. But if y'all know somebody, please hit me. That would be great. Yeah.
You said New Orleans?
Yes.
I actually know a nice photographer that's so is your number in the
It is. But here, I can chat it to you real quick.
Okay, great. Send it to me. And I have to get on Instagram because I'm not on social media right now.
Me neither, girl. So
I'll find him. He's nice.
Yeah.
And hey, everybody that's inside this group chat too, if we have an iMessage group chat or whatever, that's where we send out info throughout the week. If you got prayer requests throughout the week, you can just text inside the iMessage group chat. And so if you want to be added to that, just let me know through the Instagram page and send me your number or whatever, and then we'll just go ahead and get you plugged in and do all of that. But you got to remind me through the Instagram because I'll forget.
I got your number, by the way.
Okay, cool.
I'll text you.
All right, bye guys.
Man, I appreciate y'all for pulling up, man. Until next Thursday.
I appreciate y'all.
All right, man.